Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, sorry for not recording any video in the last month. There's many tournaments coming up and there's some problem with my computer too. But today, we will be back covering the classical variation. In the last few weeks, I have been making videos about the French defense, analyzing the advanced variation, E5. I have done videos about the E takes D5 exchange variation, Knight D2, the terraced variation. Now we will come to the main dish of the French defense, the move Knight C3. This is the classical variation. White simply defend the E4 pawn without blocking the queen and the bishop like Knight D2. Here Black has several moves. There is D takes E4, the passive Rubinstein, the double edge winner war. But I decide to recommend a move which I have played for my whole chess career, Knight F6. Here White has two major alternatives. Bishop G5 will be covered in the next video, while E5 is the move I'll analyze in this video. This is called the Steinitz variation, due to the contribution world champion Wilhelm Steinitz make to this variation. Here we'll concentrate on Knight F to D7, the main move. Here White has many fifth move alternatives. There's Knight F3, intending to fortify the center with pieces instead of pawns. We'll react with the typical break C5, D takes Knight C6, Bishop F4 to protect the E5 pawn. We'll regain the pawn after Bishop D3. Now we have to make a decision. Castling loses instantly to the standard Greek gift sacrifice, Bishop H7, King H7, Knight G5, King G8, Queen H5, and we are lost, so castle is not recommended. F6 is better, attacking White center. White don't have enough pieces to defend E5, so he must exchange. We'll take with the knight, castle, castle. Here White can gain the E5 square with Knight E7, but it turns out that we have nothing to worry about. We can simply play Bishop D7. Okay, White can gain the bishop pair, but in return we have the F and C file for our rooks. We have two central pawns. Our minor pieces are all very active. So if anyone is slightly better here, it's Black. Apart from Knight F3, White can also play Knight C2 E2. The idea is to claim the whole center with C3, F4, Knight F3, and White will have a piece, a pawn cover center. The problem with this move is that the F1 bishop is blocked and White's development won't be so smooth. After the immediate break C5, C3, Knight C6, again we are at a major tabia when White has several branches to proceed. There is A3, preparing to play B4 to gain space on the queen side as well. We'll take C takes, and now F6. The classic pawn break destroyed White center. F4 isn't really so strong due to F takes, and we have the nice Queen H4. This move wins material for us, as after G3, Queen E4, the White rook is trapped, and after King D2, Knight D4, White loses a pawn and he is facing an unstoppable attack with the king in the center. Apart from the losing F4, White also has Knight F4, which is a better try. Initially, I analyzed Knight D4, which is the top computer suggestion. The line continues, Queen D4, F takes E5. We have managed to regain the piece, but White can play Knight E6 and take our queen. We are a pawn up, but our D pawns are very weak and the king is in the center. It can come under a future attack, so I don't really like this line. Instead, I decide to recommend Queen B6, applying more pressure to the center. White seemingly win the pawn with Knight D6, but here we have a very nice trick which you must remember, as it's a typical sim for this variation. Knight d to e5, a discover attack. Now, white's best chance is to win the pawn with knight g7, bishop g7, d takes e5. Of course, we don't bother regaining a pawn, but to seize the initiative with quick development. Bishop f5. We don't care about material at all, but we care about bringing more pieces into play in order to make the bare white king in the center. After e takes, bishop takes, knight f3, castle queenside, we have huge compensation for the missing pawns. Rook h e8 is coming. We can push the d pawn further to gain more space and restrict white's piece. More than sufficient compensation for the pawn. Okay, let's finish my coverage of the move a3. There's the move knight f3 too, protecting the center, but now white lost the option of playing f4 in the future. We'll play queen b6 as normal. And here I can play either g3 or a3. g3 first, we have c takes and f6. This pawn break isn't a surprise to you anymore, right? E takes, knight takes, bishop g2, and now we exchange our bishop for white's bishop with bishop b4. After bishop d2, white seemingly exchange his bad bishop for our good one, but our idea is to play knight e4, and we seize the initiative in the center. White cannot play bishop b4 because queen b4 and we win the pawn, but anyway, with the white situation isn't very safe either. White can also play a3, but we meet it with a same break, f6. C takes first, followed by f6 is also possible, but I see no reason to refrain from this immediate break. Okay, white can takes, we takes, white gains space on the queen side. We simply take and play bishop d6. Next, we will castle, bishop d7, and strive for the e5 break. White has the better structure, but his minor pieces are very passive, especially the e2 knight. Back to this point, we have covered a3 and knight f3, and now we'll see what happened after white played the main move f3. We play bishop e7, a very flexible move. We don't want to commit to queen b6 too early, because there might be some time when the queen is best placed on the original square, but we always play bishop e7 in order to prepare f6 and castling. So this is a very flexible move. This has been played by big names such as Alexander Grischuk and Fabiano Caruana. After knight f3, castle, white has two moves. g3 is the normal approach, preparing bishop h3 to finish development. We strive with f6, bishop h3, and now the most popular move in practice is f5. But this is too unnatural to my taste, because we are attacking in the center and it makes no sense to close it, as now white gets a free hand on the queen side and probably on the king side also, with some bishop g2 followed by h3, g4 plans. Instead, c takes d4 is our move. After bishop e6, I think you are familiar with our theme, king h8 followed by the classic knight d to e5 to destroy white center. After the first, knight e to d4, f takes, knight d4, knight d4, knight e5, we regain the pawn, and after bishop takes, queen c takes is the most accurate move. Next, we will continue with queen h4 and followed by rook a to e8, when the white king will suffer a heavy attack in the center. If not bishop e6, white can also regain the pawn with c takes d4, but matter isn't going to be easy for him either after f takes. Note that f take isn't possible, as as the f3 knight is hanging, so white must play either d takes or knight takes. If d takes, then we simply play queen b6. If white takes, we play king h8, and knight d to e5 is coming. Again, that's the same move. If white takes with the knight, we'll simply play knight d to e5 followed by queen b6, and our position is a lot more pleasant to play. We have the f file, big pressure on d4, and white's pieces is very passive. White cannot castle, so I think we have at least a small advantage here. Probably more than a small advantage. d3 is a normal move, but sometimes the hyper-aggressive h4 is played, with the intention to play rook h3, fortifying white pieces, and also knight g5 with a kingside attack. We shouldn't worry and strike back in the center with f6. Here, rook h3 is the most popular move. Rook h3, but now we attack on the queen side with the classic b5, with b4 coming to open up the queen side. If bishop e3, then we maneuver our knight to the dominant c4 square with knight b6, b4 then c5, b3 then c4, b4 then a5. Rip open up the queen side. We have an ongoing queenside initiative, while white's kingside attack has gone nowhere and might result in some decisive weaknesses. Okay, that finished our coverage of the knight c to e2 variation. Now we will come to the main line of the main lines. Knight f to d7, f4. White plays very natural. He gains space in the center and intends to play knight f3 next, securing the center. c5 is obvious to you, right? Knight f3, knight c6, and now white has to move knight e2 and bishop e3. Knight e2 is already covered via a different move order after bishop e7, c3 castle with transpose. So we'll focus on bishop e3. Here, black has tried a bunch of alternatives. The most popular one is a6. And there is the risky queen b6. C takes d4 is a new trend which is tried recently. There's also the creative rook b8, going for a quick b5. But in this video, I decided to recommend a simple approach which contains some hidden traps. Bishop e7. This move is very flexible. We simply intend to castle and set a nasty trap which white has fallen for 100 of times in practice. Now we'll cover two moves, queen d2 and bishop e2. Bishop e2 intending castle kingside is the safer approach, but they shouldn't trouble us either. Both sides castle, and now we play f6, the standard break to open the f file and attack white center. E takes, knight takes. Now knight g4 is annoying, so white should play king h1 in order to make a retreating square for the bishop on g1. We play bishop d6. We invite white to grab a pawn, but the point is to play knight g4. Now bishop g2 would lose the important f4 pawn, so bishop c1 might well be best when we recapture the c5 pawn with the knight f2 threat. The position is dynamically balanced here, but I prefer black. Okay, that's about the move bishop e2. Now we'll come to the main line, queen d2. We'll castle kingside, and now white's most accurate move is probably d takes c5, which we will cover next. But now I want to show you the trap which many players have fallen for. Castle is the move which is not recommended for white, because now we can close the king side with c4. We block the queen side for now, and next we'll continue with b5. queen b6, rook b8, b4, with a big pawn storm on the queen side, while white's king side play won't come fast enough. f5 is the best try to organize something on the king side, but will break immediately with b5. The pawn cannot be taken, as after knight b5, rook b8, knight d6, bishop d6, e takes f6, we have great play, as I will show you later in the model game for this variation. But now I want to analyze alternative to knight takes b5. There is this move, f takes, desperately sacrificing a pawn for something of an attack. We'll take the offer, bishop h6, and sacrifice the exchange. We will have 2 pawns for it, so it's nothing to worry. Bishop f8, bishop f8, takes, and after all these complications, we emerge with 2 pawns for the exchange and a strong dark square bishop, which will be unopposed on the long diagonal. We are seriously better here. There's also the move f takes e6. We'll take it back. White might take the pawn, but we play rook b8, knight d6. Okay, we don't mind giving up the bishop pair, but we play knight f6. The knight will have access to the powerful e4 square, where it will aim at the white king. c3, queen a5. White position is already on the verge of losing. For example, after king b1, black wins instantly with knight e4, and c3 cannot be defended. Okay, that's about the trap connected with the move queenside castling. Now we'll see what's the most accurate move for white. It's d takes c5. Here, both capture is possible, but I prefer knight c5 as it tends to lead to more dynamic position. Only now I can safely castle. We'll play queen c7, putting the queen on the same diagonal, the same file as the king, If white now rush with kingside aggression, we can play knight e4. And after knight e4, d takes, the white knight is lacking a good square. For example, after knight d1, we can play rook d8 with good play, as our development is far more superior than white. King b1 is probably best, but we still play knight e4. Now white has 2 options, either to take the offer or keep the tension. Queen e1 is possible, but we continue in full gambit mode with b5. Knight b5 and queen b7, and we have great compensation for the pawn. Rook b8 is coming, a6 is coming. We will organize an attack on the queen side, especially on the b file. Knight e4 is possible too. We will take knight d4, rook d8. There's going to be a lot of exchanges on the d file. g4, knight d4, bishop d4, bishop c5, c3, bishop takes, and now the important move, bishop d7. Our bishop is for sure better than white's in this situation, as we have a nice square for the bishop on d5. We have the open c5 for our rooks, and the d4 pawn is potentially weak too. Now, after studying all the theory, we will come to the model game. This is played between Pankratov as white and Grandmaster Sergei Volkov as black. Sergei Volkov is a legend of the French defense, as you will see in this game and his games, which I will present you in the next video. Okay, the game starts with e4, e6, knight d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, e5, knight fd7, f4, and now c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e3. We are still in the main line. Volkov in this game chooses bishop e7, our recommendation. queen d2 castle, and his opponent, also a grandmaster, fall for this trap. Castle c4, f5, b5, knight b5, rook b8, knight d6, bishop takes, e takes, knight f6. Now white must deal with the threat of knight e4 somehow, and in the game he quickly went downhill after c3, queen a5, applying more pressure. As mentioned, king b1 loses to knight e4, so a3 is the only move. Knight e4, queen c2, and now Volkov stopped to grab a pawn, but his attack is still decisive. White tried to exchange some pieces, but now Volkov find a nice maneuver, bishop d7, preparing bishop a4 to win the exchange. White accept to lose an exchange, but now he has the trick, rook d5. White seems to be regaining a bit of material, but it's still lost after queen d5, queen a4, and now we have a very nice trick, knight c3. The pawn is after b takes c3. We have the move queen e4 attacking the e3 bishop, and after king d2, rook b2 spells the end for white. In the game, white play queen c4, which is not better either, as he still loses after knight e2, rook fc8, and now the nice touch finishing the game is queen e4 followed by f4 and wins. The model game finished my coverage of the Steinitz French. I hope you will have many wins and a lot of fun following my recommendation. In the next video, I will take a look at the last piece of the French for bishop g5, so stay tuned. If you find this video instructive and educational, don't hesitate to like and subscribe my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye!